Thank you for taking the time to watch this brief video reminding you about ASPE's credentialing programs. This information applies to active CPDs and CPDTs. Here we will review and remind you of the changes that went into effect in 2015 and reminders on acceptable audit documentation. We'll review the ways to achieve CEU requirements and we'll provide an update on new programs and other changes. If you're a CPD, you can find this information on the CPD page on aspe.org, then visit the Recertification menu on the left side of the screen. In 2015, the following changes went into effect. Hours are reported in CEU units only. A minimum of 50% or 1.2 CEUs or 12 hours must come from ASPE, ASPE chapter meetings with a technical presentation, or an approved ASPE CEU provider. As a reminder, the chapter meetings must award a certificate of attendance or certificate of participation. Some of the ASPE-approved courses are anything that comes from ASPE, such as the Read, Learn, Earn articles, the monthly webinars, regional workshops, or annual conferences. And finally, topics and sessions from approved CEU providers. Now, there is a requirement of 1.2 CEUs that must be in plumbing engineering, plumbing design, or fire protection, but by meeting the requirements you see right above there, you also fulfill those requirements. Now, let's review ASPE-approved providers. As we mentioned, all society programs, any webinars, online training, all the ASPE chapter events that have a technical program to them, and ASPE CEU providers approved courses. Now, you must confirm that the course itself is approved. Just because a firm is an approved provider doesn't automatically grant that their courses are approved. It is up to the individual CPD to confirm what is and isn't acceptable. Here's where you can find that information. On aspe.org, hover over Education and select CEU Provider Program. On that page, you'll see Find Approved Providers. Here's where you can find the monthly Read, Learn, Earn articles. Same place, hover over Education on aspe.org, then select Read, Learn, Earn. It is free for members every month. There is a minimal charge for non-members, but it is a very easy way to earn 0.1 CEUs per article. And again, let's review the acceptable audit documentation. This went into effect in 2015. The only proof of completion or participation is a formal CEU certificate or an official transcript from a college or university. Let's review the items that are no longer accepted. Chapter sign-in sheets, whether they are printed or typed, calendar invitations, chapter meeting receipts, chapter newsletter announcements citing meeting attendance. These items in red are no longer accepted, so please, please, please make note of this. Many CPDs submit company, quote, lunch and learn programs. While these count towards recertification, they do not count for the minimum from an approved ASPE provider. Now, with that in mind, if the speaker of that lunch and learn is presenting and is an approved provider presenting an approved course, it would be acceptable, but you must obtain the certificate generated through the CEU Provider Program portal. As you know, calendar invites, meeting sign-in sheets, and any other things such as the PowerPoint, the presentation, anything itself is not acceptable. Always confirm on the provider page that we mentioned previously. Do not rely on word of mouth. Old information can still be circling, so we want you to make sure you're up to date to avoid any troubles down the line. Now, related to the chapter technical meetings, this did affect some of the chapters in the beginning, but many of them have gotten on board with this. So how do you go about informing the chapters of this change that went into effect a couple years ago? Speak to them about the CEU Generator program. It is a free tool that has been available to all chapters since 2014 to easily issue CEU certificates to meeting attendees. It's a very simple data entry to easily issue a PDH certificate of attendance or participation in the chapter meeting. If you do not have a certificate from the past 2 years, you have to speak to your chapter president or vice president technical for a signed memo stating your participation with dates, duration, title, speaker name, and so on. We encourage you to do this now prior to the conclusion of your CPD cycle to avoid delays if you are audited. Here's a very simple certificate. This is what it looks like. It has your chapter name, would have the attendee name and the speaker name, as well as the date and the CEUs issued. It's very simple and requires almost no effort on the part of the chapter officer. If you are a chapter officer, when you're logged into aspe.org, go to the officer section and then go to Education. At the top there, you see two different links on a place to submit your meetings, and then once you've submitted it and the society has entered it, you can go ahead and issue those certificates. It takes about 5 to 10 business days to do so. It is extremely simple. Again, as a reminder, let's review some of the things that we've talked about. Here's the approved sources to fulfill those 1.2 CEUs, or 50% of your 2.4 CEUs, or 24 hours. You can view ASPE live or archive webinars. There's an entire library full of them. Chapter meetings with a technical presentation. Any of the ASPE annual conferences, such as the convention or technical symposium. ASPE regional workshops. Or the monthly Read, Learn, Earn articles, which are free for members. If you set a calendar reminder every month and you complete one article a month for 24 months, you meet those minimum requirements. Therefore, if you were to be audited, you'd automatically pass and you wouldn't have to supply any further documentation. You can also volunteer for ASPE on the local or the society level. Please review the recertification packet for more information about this. Now, there's a couple other exciting things we want to talk to you about. One thing is the recertification fees have been updated. For members, it is $75. For non-members, it is $165. We're also excited to share with you this new CPD Pin, or lapel pin. It is available on aspe.org/CPD Pin. It is also available in the bookstore. And later this year, we're excited to share that we're going to have more merchandise options available for you. So watch your email for that information. Many of you might be wondering, what about the CPDTs? And that's a great question. The recertification requirements are the same as CPDs, and the updated requirements have been in place since the inception of that credential. The CPDT recertification fees are unchanged and remain up to date for the current program. And finally, there is a CPDT Pin also available for them to purchase, and down the line later this year, there will be CPDT merchandise available for purchase for them as well. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Please contact us at certification@aspe.org with any other questions.